Hi, everyone. It's Dr. Lisa Sulsenti, and welcome to Dr. Lisa Sulsenti or Sulsenti's podcast. And today we are going to talk about my 3 stages of functional medicine care. And I'm really excited about this because it seems to be a misunderstanding or a misconception that functional medicine is really just about healing a gut or leaky gut. That is what I'm an expert in. That is what I do. But there's other stages of functional medicine that can help you. And I want to share that with you today. I'm actually going to make this into a series because I really want to talk about each stage. And so I'm going to explain the whole thing, but I might break it down to leaky gut and then move into stage 2 and 3 in the following podcast. So let's get started because this is super exciting. So the first stage, if you've worked with me before or if you've listened to my podcast, I have a program called The Kind Gut, and that is my leaky gut program. It's fantastic. It works super well. It has gotten thousands of people better in the last 10 years. It's my baby and I love it. And what it focuses on is the gut wall. So if you can get anything from this podcast today or anything that you want to understand about leaky gut and repairing a gut or healing a gut, it's about the gut wall. And I feel professionally, after doing this for so long, that this is where you begin. And in functional medicine, I don't want to really go down and start in different areas unless it's a particular situation, a particular case. Where I want my patients to begin functional medicine is with healing the gut, because the gut wall needs to be working properly for the other stages, I feel, to be most effective. I'm going to explain this. Let's begin with healing the gut, or I don't even like using the word healing. I like say repairing it. So when the gut isn't working properly, it creates chaos in the body. But before we unpack that, let's look at what the normal functioning is so we can compare what the not normal functioning is. When a gut wall is working properly, it is absorbing the nutrients that the body needs to work. So the body has your organs, your glands, and all these systems. So I just put that all together and call it the systems of the body. So you could be talking about the brain, you could be talking about your thyroid, you could be talking about your musculoskeletal system, you could be talking about the endocrine system, which are your glands and your hormones, your ovaries. I guess that would be thyroid too, adrenals and cortisol and all these things. So we're going to call those the systems of the body. They need healthy nutrients. They're called micronutrients, vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, amino acids. They need all these wonderful things to work properly. Your cells all across your entire body need micronutrients to work properly. They are dependent upon 2 things. One is that you eat healthy things, and 2, that the gut wall the body is able to digest it, and the gut wall is able to absorb them and bring it to them. So this is where the term leaky gut comes into play. Now, if we can back up one more step, the purpose of eating healthy food is it has the micronutrients. So if you're eating wholesome foods, I know people think carbs, fats, proteins, the macros, but you're breaking those down in the digestion system to pull out the micronutrients. I have a great podcast on macros. I have great podcasts on micronutrients. And I just really strongly suggest you go back and listen to those so you can really understand the impact of micronutrients. I think it's so underplayed, not talked about, and it's really the crux of functional medicine. And it's really the big difference between functional medicine and conventional medicine is our micronutrients. So you have this huge digestive system in the body. It's 20-something feet long. It's big. And the whole purpose, as soon as the food is enters your mouth and being chewed, and I go over all this, and gets into the stomach and the stomach acids and gets down to the intestines, the whole purpose is to break the food apart and pull out the micronutrients, right? So the gut wall, its job is to absorb these and let them, get into the bloodstream. And once they get in the bloodstream, think of they get into little taxis and they go off and do what they have to do. And so the systems of the body are going to be healthy and able to function. And I can assure you, when I talk about the brain and I talk about neurotransmitters, they need these vitamins for you to make neurotransmitters. So It's a different approach. Functional medicine is just a beautiful approach to looking at what isn't working properly. Some people don't like the term broken, but that's the term I like to use because a lot of these are chemical equations where something is broken. It's just not working. We think of computers when the code isn't working, they call it broken. So for you to make serotonin, you have to get from A to B to C. And if you don't have the vitamins in between for the equation to happen, it breaks. So it's not that the person's broken. It's not like a negative connotation. It's literally just a chemical equation not working because it has a deficiency in it. It's missing something. So functional medicine is really diving deep and saying what is broken, what equation isn't working, and what do we need to do here? But it actually has to be reverse engineered and going all the way back to the gut. Is the gut wall working properly? It's the first stage or the first phase in functional medicine for me. Now, it's supposed to, right, let these micronutrient get in the bloodstream. It is dependent on you eating healthy, and it is depending on a good digestive tract and also a gut wall working properly. Now, the other thing the gut does is it detoxifies things. This happens at the gut wall as well, and it has the ability, and this is really downplayed and not talked about at all, but functional medicine, it's huge. It has the ability to make sure that toxins don't accumulate in the body, that you don't have an excess amount of toxins. Its job, it's the garbage center, right? So it's supposed to eliminate the things you don't need. It also helps you eliminate and break down things that are healthy for you, but in excess they wouldn't be. I like to use the term estrogen because people, I think, grasp that. Estrogen is super important in the body and we need it, but if it's in excess, it becomes harmful. So the gut plays a role in metabolizing or detoxifying or getting rid of the excess. When it doesn't work properly, guess what happens? The bad things are going to get reabsorbed back into the body, and the good things aren't going to be allowed out. So you got the good things kind of being pooped out and the bad things getting absorbed. And this is where we get sick. This is where these diseases happen or come or occur. So that's why I go back on my stage 1 or my phase 1 is always the gut. I have that program called the Kind Gut. This is where we jump in together and we start healing the gut. And again, I don't love the word heal because it's really about repairing it. And then you want to get in and restore the harmony in the microbiome that you need. So the leaky gut program and tackling your leaky gut, it itself has 3 steps. You want to reveal what's causing the leaky gut. You want to repair the gut wall. And then you want to restore the gut microbiome in there. You're also in the reveal phase looking for causes. So I have a lot of podcasts on this. You can go back to the different stages. We talk about reveal, but food sensitivities is something you need to look at to see if the gut wall is attacking food, because that's a big cause of this inflammatory process that damages the gut wall and causes it not to work properly. The other thing is you want to reveal if there's any I call them pathogens. They are opportunistic situations, and some people call them co-infections. But co-infections to me in the phases, we look at them in different steps. In this step, we're looking strictly within the gut, and we're seeing does the patient have parasites? Does the patient have bacterial pathogenic coexisting things in here? Do they have viruses? Do they have an overgrowth of yeast or fungus? Do they have biofilms? So we do this right here because in order for that gut wall to function properly, you have to tackle those things that might be right there in the gut wall causing a leaky gut, or leaky gut means that a gut isn't working properly. So the reveal phase is super important. The repair phase is fixing that gut wall, getting it to work properly. And the restore phase is bringing that harmony back to the gut microbiome, making sure we have a balance in good bacteria versus bad bacteria. So that's really the first phase, and it's a lot. It's just beautiful because some people right there overcome their health problems. Right there, sometimes that's it. That's all people need is that first phase. That's why it's just so beautiful. It's just so effective. But after that, you're going to move into what stage 2 is. And that's going and looking at the other systems of the body. So you have to also say, I have to back up 1 second, because in phase 1, I also look at the liver. The liver is, the sibling with the gut, or the best friend, or the cousin, however you want to look at it. But they work well together, because when you're talking about detoxifying and getting toxins out of the gut, the liver is also a big detoxifier. So if we're trying to move, let's say, heavy metals in somebody, for example, or if we're trying to move parasites, or we're trying to remove something that we revealed, in the reveal phase, we have to make sure this gut is working properly, and we have to make sure the liver is working properly. So this brings you a little bit into stage 2, but I really work hard on this in stage 1. But I have to stress this part, and this is the part that I think, I don't know how to put it, but I feel like we fail to grasp. I know social media doesn't grasp this very well. I don't know if some functional people kind of skip over it. You really can't start detoxifying heavy metals and these things that people call co-infections. I don't love that word. I think these are opportunistic things, and I'm going to explain that in the next podcast. But if you were trying to remove some things like biofilms or molds or heavy metals, you want to make sure that gut wall and that liver is working properly. I'm going to say that again, because a lot of people just go to this, but they haven't healed the gut, they haven't gotten the gut wall to work properly, and they haven't gotten the liver. So the gut wall's function, again, remember, is to absorb the good things and get rid of the bad things. The liver's job is very similar to that. So those two things need to be working correctly before you jump into detoxifying things or eliminating things or removing things. So that I want you to take from this podcast as we move forward into the next phase is that if you're going out there and you're listening to Instagram or any of those TikToks, I'm all over them, and I see these things and I'm like, yikes, oh my gosh. It's very, how do you put it, especially with your children, it's coming from love. It's a very good place of intent, and it's not a bad thing to say, hey, maybe I should do a parasite cleanse, but you could get yourself really messed up and really sick if you didn't get the gut wall and the liver working properly before you go in there and just trying to remove these toxic things. You can get pretty sick. So that's why phase 1 or stage 1 is really, really important. And then we move into stage 2. Now, when you're working with me, I combine those two together. I combine the detoxification and getting the gut to work properly, getting the liver to work properly. If you've worked with me, sometimes I'll say to you, hey, let's just, for the next 2 months, work on the gut and the liver, and then we'll move into detoxifying your liver and your gut, right? That is some patients. In some patients, I'll say, hey, you know what? Let's start removing some of these as we're working on the gut. So it depends on how severe the scenario is in front of me. And if you've known that we've had to move some serious things, like I've dealt with C. diff, I've dealt with some crazy parasites, I've dealt with some crazy bacteria with patients, high heavy metals. And so if you're listening and you're one of my patients, you know that, I'm very strict about this, because I'm like, it can go sideways very quickly if you start trying to remove, these, I'm going to call them opportunistic things. I don't really like the word co-infections because some of them aren't infections. These opportunistic things, if you start trying to detoxify things without setting the systems up and having a healthy liver and a healthy gut, it can go sideways. So that's what I wanted to talk about today was there's 3 different phases. We're going to repair the gut, right? And restore the gut. And then we're going to try to detoxify and remove things. The Kind Gut kind of works with both of those. When you do the Kind Gut program, I've combined those 2 phases together. But then what we're going to get into, and I'm going to get into these opportunistic things and how to remove them. But you're going to have to come back to this one, part 1, to understand the gut. Then you're going to move into systems of the body. So what's going on with the systems of the body? We want to support and repair anything that we find not working well. So it could be imbalances. It could be actually equations that are broken, and I talk about broken because it might have that negative connotation, but it's looking at chemical equations where they might be missing vitamins, there might be missing some type of enzyme, there might be a genetic mutation, there might be a reason why the body isn't converting something. The thyroid, for example, is looking at another system, and you're seeing, hey, is the body converting, T4 to T3? Is the body have enough iodine to make T1, T2, T3? So you're looking at actual chemical equations, and you're looking to make sure the body has the micronutrients it needs. Does the thyroid have all the nutrients it needs in order to get your end product, T3? And then you have to say, well, is T3 getting into the cell? So when you talk about a system like thyroid, you're going to want to support and repair anything that's not working or broken in those chemical equations. So that's like the next stage, is looking at systems of the body and supporting and repairing those. And again, I don't suggest doing those until the gut is working properly and the liver's working properly. The liver really is where a lot of the thyroid stuff happens. The thyroid, it's not the problem. It's really the gut and the liver. And then we have to also look at your lifestyle. Are you eating healthy? Are you getting your vitamins? And I can assure you just taking supplements to replace the vitamins that you might not be getting isn't always the answer, because if your gut wall's not working properly, it won't absorb the supplements as well. So to wrap this one up, this beautiful podcast, you want to be able to look at the whole thing as a whole, but you want to look at these as 3 stages, but you want to be able to go back and make sure you've accomplished stage 1 before you move to stage 2 or stage 3. And that's what I want to stress today. I am going to do a part 2 on this and jump more into stage 2 and stage 3, which is removing some opportunistic things, which is detoxification. And then how do you move off and support some of these systems of the body, which is stage 3 for me. So you have stage 1, which is repairing and restoring the gut. We can call it the leaky gut, right? Healing the gut, if that's for lack of better words. But I like saying repairing and restoring the gut. And then you move to stage 2, which is detoxification of any of the opportunistic things that we find. And I'll talk about those. And then stage 3 is definitely looking at supporting and repairing the systems of the body. So it could be thyroid, right? It could be the brain. It could be, musculoskeletal. A lot of people might have like arthritis, or rheumatoid arthritis. Do we have autoimmune disorders? Like what other systems are to go in the body? Right now I have a patient that has ovarian failure. So we really have to address those systems of the body. Now, when you work with me, some people want to do this all at one time, but you know that I try to slow you down, and I'm like, let's get with repairing and restoring the gut. Let's get that gut wall functioning properly. Let's get that liver working properly. And as we do that, we're going to move to stage 2, which is detoxification and removing these opportunistic things. And then I can get into stage 3 when I'm looking at, all right, what do we have here? What's broken? Which system is suffering from a deficiency and imbalance or a equation not happening properly. So I hope you understand how important it is to make sure that you have a gut wall working well, a super healthy gut microbiome, and a rocking liver. And that's what I want to talk about today before you jump into these things that you see on social media. And I'm trying to be here for you and support you, because it is overwhelming. I'm on social media with you, and you're like, oh, maybe this works, maybe this product works. And that's another thing too, is a lot of people sell supplements, so be careful when there are programs associated with all these supplements. That's great. It's not that they're bad supplements. I've looked at them, I'm like, okay, this will work. But what stage are you at? And if you're at the right stage for that supplement, let's say you're at the stage where parasites can be moved, you want to make sure that you do it correctly. There's a whole protocol to parasites, and if you don't do it correctly, they'll keep coming back. And that's a whole other thing I want to get into, is the co-infections and then the systems in the next podcast, because it's a little confusing what out there, like trying to learn these things in here. Well, this person said this, and this person said that, and this person said this. And so I'm going to try to help you walk through some of those confusing things in the next podcast. So thank you so much today. Remember, this isn't to treat you or cure you or replace your medical care. This is for educational and informational purposes and help guide you. And if you have any questions, you can always reach out to me. Have a great day.